Okay, Aries. So first of all, I do feel like you're tired. Not like exhausted, but like in general, like it's just kind of you're not, not you're pretty energetic in general, but I don't feel you're willing to do the most. This month, I think that you'd rather reserve your power and reserve your energy for those that are worth it, for those that deserve it, for the projects that deserve it. It's not like full speed ahead on everything. Okay? All these cards came out together. Underneath them all is the Eight of Cups. So at the root of it all, this is about ascending to a higher expression of yourself and your energy and what you're willing to invest in and what you're needing to leave behind, right? Because faith has become the priority. Believing in ourselves has become the priority. Achieving huge dreams has become the priority. And that's why Eight of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands, you're willing to do your due diligence and focus on whatever inspires you, okay? And you're willing to hermit, which is isolate yourself in order to achieve whatever it is that you need to achieve. And with the Nine of Wands, I feel that the more you isolate yourself, the faster things will move. And I think that you'll get opportunities and be able to harness the things that come to you, because sometimes your attention span is short. So you can't afford really the outside stimulation this month outside of inspiration. Okay? Because then the world backflipped out the deck. Literally was like, bang. So a new chapter is going to unfold in ways that I think are kind of dramatic. Not in like a bad dramatic way, in like an exciting dramatic way. And with the Six of Pentacles here, I feel that the playing field is going to be leveled. Whether you don't feel that, you've been getting the recognition that you deserve, or that you've been, pushing more of the weight than your coworkers, or, you know what I mean, than the people around you in your house. I feel like that's all getting leveled out. And I feel like you are going to either learn how to ask for help or have people offer help to you, and you're finally going to realize that saying no is not beneficial, right? Because there's certain things that you can handle and there's certain things that you can't, all right? All right, Aries. So I can't remember which sign it was that had the disruption rune and the constraint rune. It might have been Capricorn. Yeah, it might have been Capricorn. But I do feel a little bit you're going through an existential crisis this month. And that's not to be dramatic or, to make you feel overwhelmed. We are entering eclipse season. The first eclipse is on the 12th. And it's in Cancer. So, we all need something that's going to shake us up. We all need something that's going to bring, undesirable information to the surface so that we can just deal with it. Because obviously if any of us, any sign had our way, we would just, stay where we're at and not, tend to things till it becomes like disgustingly unbearable, which is a lot more painful than it has to be. And considering Spirit's advice for you and considering the outcome, I do think that like this is really an isolated event, if you will, like an isolated feeling that I don't think is going to follow you much longer. And I mean, we do have more eclipses in August. But I don't think that one is going to jolt you as much. I think that one's more going to like let everything set in. Okay? Because your overall energy this month is the Lovers. So choices that have a really large impact on your life is what's at hand, right? And more so than that with the Lovers, it's about aligning with your highest self and aligning with your most expansive path. And we don't always know what that looks like. And we don't always know what that feels like. And we don't always know if, what that sense is. You know what I mean? Like what it's going to resonate as. And that can be scary. You know what I mean? It can be scary when we're feeling ourselves or the understanding we have of ourselves slip away in the new label or the new identity or the new expression of ourselves and the way that we're going to identify with ourselves from here on out until further notice has not fully manifested, right? It can give us this looming, like, who the am I? You know what I mean? Like, where am I going? Where am I headed? And I think especially for those, I feel this could be career, but I feel it would be more career related for those of you that are self-employed or do some type of very creative centered work that really, empowers you. For others of you, if you don't do that kind of work, if you're not a creative in nature, I feel this is overall just how you feel about yourself. What Spirit is asking you to release this month. We have the 10 of Wands with the 10 of Swords. And on the 10 of Swords, we have safety. So one, I definitely feel that anything that you've been holding on to out of safety is definitely, catching a funeral this month, whether you like it or not. Because the 10 of Swords here, especially with the 10 of Wands, I feel like there's just this intense level of doing too much. And sometimes, and I told this to Leo in a similar way, but they had it as an overall theme. Excuse me. When we keep our plate full and in an effort to avoid ourselves, in an effort to avoid what we really feel, that's a safety mechanism, right? It's a function of not wanting to really face the problem or rather the emotional unrest at hand. So when it comes to all the responsibilities you have on your plate, ask yourself which of those are necessary, right, for your safety, or in what ways are you functioning out of safety? Are you functioning in survival mode in any area of your life, Aries? Because that's really up for debate as well. Because the thing about both of these cards as well is you can't see ahead in these cards, right? One of them has his head buried in his work, right, in all his endeavors. And the other one is so fixated on making sure that he's good, that he's safe, that he has, ended up face down in the sand with his thoughts just murdering him, like sapping his energy. So be mindful also of the tasks that you take on and what they do for your mental state and what toll they take on you, because I feel it's also important to safeguard your mind, because peace of mind is not something that we can expect others to monitor for us, okay? We have to monitor that on our own, all right? Nobody is going to just be like, oh yeah, I'm worried about so-and-so's mental state. Let me take this off their plate. You know what I mean? If you really need things taken off your plate for your own mental sanity, I think it's important that you're going to have to speak up. Or you're just going to have to say, like, I can't take this task on anymore. Like, sorry, I tried, whatever, or I need another hand on this, whatever it is. The door that's not open for you that was once closed, we have the 9 of Swords, clarified by the 9 of Pentacles. And on the 9 of Swords, we have journey. So look, we go 2 10s and 2 9s. So it's interesting to see that flow, because in some regards, it's a backpedal, but in other regards, I feel that you're just anxious about where the next step of your journey is and whether or not dropping some of these defenses or dropping some of these projects or dropping some of the attention that you pay to other things, or this can even be beliefs, right, with the 10 of Wands. It could be a combination of a lot of things that weigh on you or that you care about. I feel you're afraid that some of them, if you lose them, is going to hinder your independence or your way to enjoy life, or your spirit, right? Because the 9 of Pentacles is a very lovely energy, right? It's someone that enjoys life and kind of savors the moment. It's a very Venusian card. And there's this fear that, like, it's almost like FOMO, like fear of missing out. It's like, if I put something down, will I still be satisfied? Will I still have enough money coming in? Will I still have enough projects? There's a lot of fear around how you will get taken care of on this next phase of your journey. And Spirit is asking you to choose that higher road, choose that higher octave. And that doesn't usually mean busyness. Like, obviously there's times in our life where we're busy. You know what I mean? That's unavoidable. But in general, a state of busyness is fueled by a desire to not be 100% conscious of our feelings and what we're going through on a soul level. So really be mindful of what way external factors take a toll on you, okay? And how many of them, again, either hinder or help your mental and internal state. Your current energy as it relates to all of this in your head, we have the Page of Swords with the rune Constraint. In your heart, the Five of Pentacles with the rune Disruption. And in your foundation, we have the Queen of Wands. So at the root of it all, this is really about you. You expressing your highest self, you feeling empowered, you feeling like very carefree. Something is going on that has you not feeling like yourself entirely. Like I said, whether it be because, you've been so caught up in stuff, or because a part of you is dying, and to rebirth this new part, you feel it's going to really alter who you are and what you're known as. Like that's why I said it's an existential crisis, because it's not necessarily I don't feel it's really a physical crisis. Obviously, it could be for some of you. It could be manifesting like that. But I feel it's more of a loss of sense of self. But at the same time, in the same token, you know that you're birthing a new self that's going to have a lot more confidence and identify more purely with your spirit. So this is all about granting yourself freedom, right? Freedom from restriction, freedom from overburdensome, freedom from limiting beliefs, freedom from whatever it is that has made you feel, I want to say like dogged out. You know what I mean? Like really stressed out. Okay? At the heart of everything, the Five of Pentacles with Disruption is, if your job has suddenly become extremely unsatisfying, I definitely think it's important to address that. Because there's always an answer. There's always a way. If we're unhappy, there's always a way to fix it. It may not be the first choice, and it may not be, the simplest choice at first. At least it's not going to appear to be the simplest choice. It's gonna, how you perceive it is going to be individual to you. But I feel this disruption is in your faith. Like feeling like, you're being forgotten, or feeling like you're being separated from what you love or who you love. But I really think it's about you. I think that the separation is you feeling separated from yourself. And again, this mourning of a loss of identity. It's like, because when we've gone through trauma, right, at any point in our life, when we go to drop that narrative, there can be a lot of resistance, not because we want to identify with a painful narrative, but because we remember that part of us that went through that and survived. And it's like, even though we've integrated the lesson, even though, we've come out the other side, and dropping that narrative isn't going to take away from the fact that, you survived and you've changed or whatever. But it's like, you can see a small part of yourself having to go. And that can be disruptive to how we feel. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I want to let her die, or I don't know if I want to let him die. Like, she's gone through thick and thin with me. He's gone through whatever. And I mean that talking about your own self. And it could be a person. But I really feel like this is talking about fragments of your own soul. Okay? And with the Page of Swords in your headspace and the rune Constraint, I feel that outside opinion is needing to be restricted. And also the sharing of your thoughts is needing to be restricted, not because they're not valid or not because or whatever. It's just now is not a good time. I don't think, because no one can tell you who you are. No one can give you the type of advice that's really going to make you feel confident. And that's actually a message that I had to take for myself recently. I was just talking to my Aries mother about that, about how at times we go looking for advice, and then we're upset about the advice that we're given, whether it's, correct or incorrect, is really irrelevant. You know what I mean? Because nobody knows us but us. And that goes for even when you consult psychics or, you know what I mean, readers or whatever. And it's not because their information is wrong, but I truly feel that the validity of the information that you receive in any context that you ask for help, or not help, if you ask for outside opinion, the validity of the information you receive back will be dependent on the original motivation for asking. So if you're asking out of fear that you're making the wrong decision, if you're asking out of fear that you don't trust yourself or that you're not able to make the decision on your own, I feel that even if there is some type of truth to what is told back to you, it's still going to leave you unsettled because you're not listening to yourself. And not that someone is like all of a sudden going to lie to you so that spirit, you know, so that you learn to like trust yourself. But it could be something where you take that person's advice, right? You sought advice in a situation where you were just feeling fearful of listening to yourself and afraid you're going to make the wrong decision. So you ask for advice, right? And the advice makes you more like unsettled, but you still go with it because, you know, you respect that person. And then, you know, however many weeks or months down the road, you're like hating how things turned out. You know what I mean? And you're going to hate it mostly because you didn't listen to yourself. And you're always going to wonder what would have happened if you just listened to yourself. So also constrict, I feel, what you put on social media, or again, what you share written with other people. Okay, I feel like it's important to protect your image, if you will, or protect your peace. All right. We have lots of advice from Spirit this month. Spirit says your advice to handle this energy is the Knight of Cups with the rune Strength. And then to clarify that, these three came out. We have the Ace of Wands, the King of Swords, and the Three of Cups. So it's important that you remember, first of all, the strength of your heart, the strength of your emotional resolve, and your resiliency. Okay, first and foremost. Again, if you do any type of creative work, or this is about romantic love, or if this is just about love overall, love that you share with other people, right? Any type of people, your family, your friends, your community. This is just about your heart overall. You need to remember that there's a lot of strength in living from the heart space. There's a lot of empowerment that can be found from living from a place of unconditional love. And nothing is more inspiring than that, Ace of Wands, right? And the King of Swords is saying that when you're clear on that level of power that you hold, right, it gets a lot easier to act on what you know to be true in your heart, okay? And the Three of Cups is saying that, one, being in a state of constant celebration is good for the soul, and that you know very clearly who your supporters are, who your friends are, and who you can count on. So if you've been meeting naysayers recently, or if you've been meeting people that, like, you know, are more like associates that aren't really making you feel comfortable, aren't really making you feel supported, you know, ask yourself if those people even really mattered or not. You know, I feel like that's important because you do have a very strong support system. I just don't think it's as wide as you originally thought, and that may be upsetting to you, but it's like for the best. You know what I mean? We can have associates and not trust them with our life. You know what I mean? Like it's okay. Most likely outcome is the Three of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles. And on the Queen of Pentacles, we have prosperity. So if this is financial in any way, I do feel that you're going to get over that. All right. I feel like it was a short blip in the money flow because you're coming back to your own power very quickly, right? Prosperity with the Queen of Pentacles is very much reminding reminding yourself and remembering that you have an infinite amount of power to put your nose to the grindstone, if you will, in a very metaphysical way. And that when you focus your energy, right, on how powerful you are and on how prosperous you are, that it opens a lot of doors for you and that your future suddenly becomes clearer. I love how, you know, this is all a little bit heavier, but these are yellow cards. These are about empowerment. So I feel that listening to your heart and not really taking other people's opinions into consideration is definitely the key to your own self-empowerment this month. I think that until you believe wholeheartedly in your gifts, and instead of asking people, should I do this or should I do that, instead phrase it, I am doing this after you already started, will be a lot more powerful for you, okay? That was quick. And look at that, what I said. I deserve to have a successful career and I accept it now. The perfect job is looking for me and we are being brought together now. So even if you're needing to rewrite your resume, even if you're needing to rephrase the way your skills, because just because we've worked in one field for a long time doesn't mean that the skill set that we acquired in that one said field doesn't apply to other fields. So really ask yourself, where am I highly skilled? Like, what am I good at? What do I prosper in? Okay? And I think that it'll be a lot easier to realize how many open doors there are for you. And this isn't a race to the finish line, you know? Follow your heart, listen to yourself, call upon the people close to you. You may be able to find a job from someone, like a friend of a friend. Like your friend heard somebody else is hiring, okay, with this King of Cups or King of Swords here. But you are at a crossroads point, so take all of your desires into consideration, okay? Aries, I love y'all. Talk to you soon. Peace.